At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Cleveland, welcome to the office. You could have been anywhere in the world. You're here with us. We appreciate it. This is a show where three work buddies, me, Noah, and Erik, talk about the top sports stories in Cleveland, around the country, sometimes the globe. As we always like to start by reminding you, you can join us too. So send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Text or call the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. We got a great show. Going to talk NBA draft lottery, MJ, Cavs playoffs, and Browns minicamp. But before we get into any of that, Noah, Erik, how we doing, fellas?
Not good.
It's
sad.
It's kind of a return to stasis, honestly. I mean, that sounds sad, but as the realist, I'll say pessimist now, Cleveland fan, this is the huge, right? We're used to heartbreak, we're used to disappointment, and a day after getting a lot of doses of both of those things, here we are, back to it, right?
Yeah,
my thing is,
yep.
you know, we get in here. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk over y'all, but
Go ahead.
We get in here. We try to be all happy, giddy, excited. Let's go. We're at the office talking sports with boys. Nah, fuck all that. I worked my last Cavs shift yesterday. I saw my coworkers crying. I saw fans crying. I saw part-timers, full-timers, everybody. I saw the homeless guy on the street crying. Everyone's upset. And you're allowed to be upset, and I'm upset, and I'm here to vent and be frustrated with my two best friends.
I hear you, man. It was a tough pill to swallow. I kept telling myself, kind of counterintuitively to what I would usually do, that you're still better, and everybody's healthy, and you can get past this team, and you're better than them. And it was a drastic come to Jesus moment at the end of the game yesterday. It was like, that might not be true. Even when healthy, we got some major questions. We'll get into that more. I don't want to start the pity party for the Cavs yet. There's a place on an agenda for that, and I think it's going to be a good portion of the show. But let's get started where we usually do. Let's wet our whistle first before we get into the saga that is the Cavs. You guys probably saw the NBA draft lottery news after the Luka trade and all the drama in Dallas. Is the owner going to move or not? The Dallas Mavericks ended up with the number one pick in the draft. Now, a lot of people are calling foul, saying that this reeks of the past NBA suspicious draft activity. So to get us started with 30-second takes, Noah, why don't you put yourself on the clock? You can get us kicked up. The question I have for you is the NBA rigged? Is the draft rigged?
Yeah, I'm glad to kick this off because I am no longer an NBA employee as of today, so I don't really have to dot my I's, cross my T's. But no, I say that, and I still do not think that the NBA or sports are rigged. I never have bought into that mindset. I know plenty of fans that do. I have never thought that way, though. Weird coincidence, sure. Shout out to Dallas because they look like they had a big brain play, I guess. But no, I don't think the NBA is rigged. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I don't know that you're wrong, but I'm going to let E weigh in first. You want to throw up the timer again? And same question to you, Erik. Is it rigged?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's not rigged. It does feel that way when Dallas had I think it was a 1.8% chance of getting the first pick. But to pretend like that was the plan all along, it wasn't. First of all, you're banking on a guy maybe being good and a franchise player for you when you know you had a guy that was good and a franchise player. It's not really worth the trade-off, but to say that it's rigged, I think is just conspiracy nonsense.
Yeah, it's a lot. Thank you, Noah. I can bring us home. I agree with both of you. Now, am I naive enough to think that in the history of the whole NBA draft that there was never some shenanigans? No. There were a few things that were really coincidental. Sometimes they are coincidental. I do think that the league might put their hand on the scale every now and then off the court with some of the behind the scenes things and throughout the season and preseason and off season. But that said, no, there's way too much money on the other side with sports betting and everything else. I think it would be wild to think that the NBA is just setting up what they want. Suspicious, sure. Rigged, I don't think so.
It's just interesting that this has always been a talking point, specifically with the NBA league, in my opinion, with the frozen envelopes and some of the other stuff back in the day as well. Do you put any validity into any of those claims from the past whatsoever? Or do you just think it's, yes, you do, E? I want to hear what you have to say, man.
Yeah, listen, when there's money involved and betting involved, we know in the past, because people have been prosecuted, that games have been rigged, that refs have been rigged, that they've been paid off. I think this is a carryover, though, of kind of old Vegas. I don't think it happens much anymore now that betting's become legal and to the forefront in most states, and that you could do it right on your phone. But when the mob still ran Vegas and they had money on the line, they tipped the scales in their favor by paying off refs, and it made sense. Today, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think people read into it where there's a narrative, the NBA wants it a certain way, or media companies want it a certain way. And yeah, they might want that for ratings. Ratings equals dollars. But I'm a guy that believes in proof, and to keep a conspiracy like that quiet, I think, is impossible. We talk about things like we never went to the moon, etc. The litmus test for me for conspiracy theories like that are, you don't have actual people involved that worked at NASA, or in this case worked for the NBA, coming out saying it's all rigged. And to be able to keep that a secret would just be an impossibility.
Yeah, I agree with Eric. It's too much money. There's too many things going on. There's too many people involved for it to be some widespread thing. Now, do you have to deal with one rogue player shaving points, or one rogue coach throwing in crappy game plans? Who knows? Over the course of the life of the league, has it happened? I would imagine so. There's probably no sports league out there that has a totally clean record. But if I sit down every night and wonder if the NBA is like WWE, where there's a script and they're just filling in the roles,
don't diss the wrestlers, man. Don't diss the wrestlers.
I did not diss the wrestlers. They are athletes. They put their bodies on the line. I have a lot of respect for what they do, but it's not a real. They know the outcome before it starts. Let me put it that way.
Of course, I get what you're saying, but you don't think. I don't know. I guess it's just this mystique that follows the NBA that makes me think, well, maybe sometimes, potentially, especially with like that ref that got caught calling fouls and stuff to help his betting and this, that, and the third. It's just, I don't know. This is the league. If there were a league to me that seems to be fixed, this would be the league that I would think would have the fix in. Is there a league that you guys think that might have a fix in at all? Or is this just a null in point topic that's not worth it?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think so. I think that watching, you could see for yourself what's happening. I mean, take the NBA draft as an example. It's used like a lottery system with the balls coming up, etc. So you're saying somebody rigged the machine? Like, it's overkill to think of how it would even happen.
But they're billionaires, Eric. And I'm playing devil's advocate. I was the one who started this topic off by saying I don't believe that the NBA, or any sports for that matter, is rigged. But they are billionaires. There's a lot of money in that pot.
So are the other teams, though. So
yeah, but the Lakers are like, yeah, we're fine with doing the fix if you give us Luka, and then we'll make sure that the ball pops up so that the Dallas Mavericks get Cooper Flag.
So again, though, you have multiple teams and multiple people involved, and it's all kept hush-hush. They managed to keep a better secret than our own CIA, whose job is to keep secrets. Like, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I get it. I totally.
And the other thing that always brings it home for me is the question of why. Like, I don't want to pretend to be so smart that I could always figure out every contingency theory. But if you were going to rig the draft, would you let the New York Knicks stink for like 20 years? You know what I mean? Like there's so many big brands and big teams that are huge for the NBA. Would the Lakers be one and done? Like I just think that when you think about why it's rigged, it's easy to say, oh, look, turmoil and it's kind of crazy odds, but like, it wasn't in the NBA's best interest financially for LeBron James to end up in Cleveland for half of his career. He would have gone someplace else and been a bigger star, right? They could have got drafted by the Lakers in the first place.
That's a good point.
Some of the stuff just doesn't add up. Now, like I said, there could be all kinds of backroom deals and stuff where they say, oh, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I know how politics works, especially with rich people, but I don't know. I just don't see the, oh my God, look at how great this is going to do for a league that's ratings are struggling. Let's make sure the Mavericks get Cooper Flag.
Dylan Northrup asks, and this is going into the Cavs a little bit, and I know we'll get there in a second. Wasn't it proven that game 2 is rigged? Not rigged. They just proved that in the final 2 minutes there was a missed call. That doesn't mean it's rigged, per se.
Several, but
the other thing I wanted to point out.
We couldn't score a point in 50 seconds or advance the ball. So, I mean, that's on us.
Right. That's a Cleveland Cavaliers problem, if you ask me. The one thing you did say, John, again, just to play devil's advocate with this point, I know we could probably move on, but you said, wouldn't it be better for the league if, LeBron didn't go to Cleveland? No, because they got to tell the story of the kid going home and, oh, he left and then he came back and brought a title. It was great storytelling for years and years. I would predict a storyteller to just so happen to have LeBron end up by this hometown team.
There's no doubt it was a really good story, but there's also no doubt that LeBron makes more for the league in New York or LA than he does in Cleveland. I think it's an excellent story. It was cool. It was fun. But if you're looking from a dollars and cents perspective, there are actual studies to say, yeah, what LeBron did could have been 20% bigger if he was in LA.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
15 minutes or so, or 12, 13 minutes on 30-second takes. Any last words before I move us on?
No. The NBA is not rigged. Get over it.
Yeah.
30-minute takes.
Right. Brought to you by our partners. Before I will go on, I want to remind you that our show tonight is brought to you by D&D Meadery. Two twin brothers, Derek and Dominic, from right up the road in Madison, rekindled the long-lost art of making mead. It's great stuff. Now, what's been cool recently is I see it popping up in stores all over Northeast Ohio. I went to a corner store to pick up a six-pack this past weekend, saw it on the shelf, a couple different varieties of flavor. Word is spreading. It's quality stuff. Get in and see what the hype is about. And if you order, use the code @the-office-CLE, @the-office-CLE. We've been lying to you for months now and telling you we're going to change it. It's not changing. That's the code, but it will get you 5% off if you buy 2. And I would, because they're going fast. So you get a free shot glass if you buy the 2. You get 5% off. Support the show. Support D&D. Support local businesses. Thank you for your sponsorship, D&D Meadery, for the win. Okay. Another favorite segment of mine. It's kind of new. We realized that 30-second takes isn't always enough to hit all the hot topics, and we need a little bit more space to bring you the news of the day without doing a full topic on it. So this week, we're proud to bring you another quick-hitting segment that we call, cue it up, Around the Water Cooler. It's an NBA-centric show to start, and there's more news we want to hit on. As you know, the big TV deal with TNT is over for the NBA. NBC is in. Cue the classic 90s theme music. Dun, 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 dun. So nostalgic of my childhood.
You did that well.
But none other than Michael Jeffrey Jordan, that's right, MJ, is going to be a contributor. Now, we don't know what contributor means, but it was big news that he's going to be returning to comment on NBA basketball. And he's also going to be joined by some other NBA goods and greats like Jamal Crawford, Carmelo Anthony, and Reggie Miller. So for the water cooler segment of today's show, I wanted to get you guys' opinion. Noah, you kicked us off last time. Erik, why don't you get us started this time? What do you think about MJ coming back for the NBA on NBC?
I'll say my first thought, and you guys know this because I texted it to you, was, is he out of money? We know that's not true, but it just seemed odd. And I say that because he's been away from the game for a while. Obviously, he has his ownership and stuff like that he was doing, but he was away from the game publicly. He wasn't really in the spotlight, and he didn't seem like a guy that wanted to be in the spotlight. And then a man named LeBron James came along. And my reaction to this is Jordan wants to continually spotlight that he is the greatest of all time. I don't think he does this if there's not a question in people's minds, well, is LeBron the greatest of all time? And I think that's really what's driving him here. He wants to be back to remind people that, and young viewers that aren't necessarily aware of who he is, that he is the definition of basketball. I just feel like that's the driving force there. What's going to be fascinating to me is the NBA on TNT has by far the best show that there's ever been, maybe when it comes to sports, period. That panel is so fantastic. The personalities are so great. Chuck now competing against Jordan again. That's going to be interesting. What are ratings going to look like? I have to imagine that Michael Jordan on a game of the week situation brings quite the draw. And hearing the man talk about basketball will be fascinating. I mean, everyone should be watching this. I'm excited for it, but yeah, my reaction at first was a little, why is he doing it?
That makes sense. What about you, Noah? What do you think?
Yeah, man. There was one thing in Erik's take that agrees with my take, and that is the fact that Jordan is losing money. And the reason I say that is because Jordan is the king of gambling. He was always playing cards. He was always at the casino. So you know damn well what they brought Michael Jordan in here to do. It isn't to give you the analysis. It isn't to give you the hard-hitting mentality, focused take that you would think Michael Jordan has. It's so you can hear Michael Jordan's FanDuel parlay of the day and get some betting advice from one of, if not the GOATs. That's exactly what he's bringing in for. No, I'm really excited to see another top dog, retired legend come in, chop it up about sports, and really bring his perspective into the modern game, because he, to me, the most I really get to see Jordan in the public eye as a person that didn't get to see him in his prime is his shoes. He has always been kind of quiet in the private thing. I mean, the most notable Michael Jordan moment in my life is when he said the ceiling is the roof at that UNC preseason game, and that was a meme for like 2 weeks. He hasn't really done anything public in the eye, so I think it's going to be a complete draw compared to some of the other different types of basketball content. You talk about Charles Barkley and all that. I'm really excited to see what he does and what he cooks up on NBA on NBC.
You mentioned the shoes. He's making over $200 million a year in residuals from the shoes alone. If he's gambling that away, my man, you need to get some help, because that is so much money. That's Phil Mickelson levels of gambling. And
that's why we're going to hear about Michael Jordan's FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365. The naming rights are still out there, obviously. Parlay of the day.
MGM, Bet365, FanDuel. If you'd like to sponsor the show, holler at your boys. We'd love to invite you to the fold. But no, I think you guys are saying it tongue in cheek, but just in case, for the record, I don't think Michael Jordan is hurting for money. No. I think he's doing this for publicity. And I think he's doing it because there's like a symbiotic relationship with him and NBC. When he was in his playing prime, NBA was on NBC from like 90 to 2002. He retired, they retired, he's coming back, they're coming back. I don't know what there is there, but it works in both their mutual interests. NBC gets to say, hey, look, we have Michael Jordan on for anything, and that's going to bring eyeballs, especially if he's doing the gambling, to Noah's point. I think even though he's not hurting for money, that could be a cool segment. MJ's parlays or something like that. And I also think
that to put the sports book in there. MJ's FanDuel parlay of the day.
Yeah, there you go. MJ parlay of the day. But I think MJ is going to get something out of it too. He's still one of the most popular basketball players on the planet, and I think he wants to solidify that. I think he wants to remind the Noahs of the world who think nothing real happened before 2020 or 2015. That, hey, I'm still here. I still matter.
A little more credit, man.
it'll do good things for the brand. It'll expand his recognition for another go around. And in the meantime, NBC is going to get some pretty good ratings for having MJ on the program. So I think that's
reaching younger viewers like Noah, do you know Reggie Miller? I mean, I assume you know who Reggie Miller is, but
right. Yeah.
do you understand his game and how good of a shooter he was, that sort of thing? Like, I think that's especially younger than Noah and not as big of sports heads. It's going to do exactly what John's saying and reintroduce them to basketball, especially at a time that they weren't as soft, let's just say.
No, that's totally fair. And on the record, yes, I think I get the point that you're trying to make. Like, Reggie Miller is to whatever, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I don't want to say Tyrese Halliburton because I feel like that's very tongue-in-cheek.
Same team and all.
Ray Allen?
Exactly.
Seems
Ray
a little
Allen, I guess. Yeah,
lesser, but
yeah, regardless. Yeah, I still think it's a draw even to the younger people for sure, because you hear your dad talk about, like, I love Charles Barkley because my dad loved Charles Barkley growing up. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It'll be real interesting to see how NBA on NBC turns out and works out. Obviously, it's going to be a cash cow because it's sports on easy to watch programming, whether you have an antenna or not. But yeah, I'm really excited to see MJ chop it up about some sports and give me his parlay of the day.
I think Reggie Miller was every bit the Steph Curry of the last generation. He's not quite as good a pure shooter, but this is an era when you couldn't get a foul for breathing on someone. Reggie Miller got roughed up, pushed, shoved, and still hit a ton of threes. So nothing against the Splash Brothers and what they did in Golden State. And Curry is the GOAT for 3-point shooting, but if Reggie played in today's NBA, he'd have a few more threes than he had in the 90s. I can guarantee you that.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
No, I don't know. I think I'm going to take us to break because our next segment is going to be the Cavs, and that could go 40 minutes. And I don't want to look up and hit the hour mark and have not gotten it in. So please subscribe, hit the like button, smash the download if you're doing audio only. Drop us a comment whether you're streaming or not. We'd love to hear from you. Check out our merch store where you too can get all of this great swag. Shout out to the Fans First Sports Network for supporting us and all we do. And you can join us too. A reminder, send a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. We're going to get out, pay some bills, but we'll be back with more at the office after this quick word from our ad partners. All right, back to at the office. So we didn't bury the lead. We had to cover some business. We did 30-second. We did water cooler, but I think what's on everybody's minds if you're in Cleveland right now is the Cavs. We're talking about a team that won 64 regular season games. They had one of the most prolific scoring offenses in NBA history, and they got packed up by a scrappy Pacers team who's making its second straight appearance now in the Eastern Conference Finals. I've heard everybody blamed, from the GM to the coaches to the players to the mental and physical toughness of the team, but regardless of who you blame, we all have higher hopes for this team.
I don't mean to interrupt, but have you heard the blame of whose fault it is that it's our own Noah Olson?
Oh, this guy. Come on, man. The wound is still fresh, and you're going to talk shit already?
Real quick. All this guy talked about was that ring he's going to get, pointing to that ring finger over and over. Hey, did you guys know I work for the Cavs and I'm going to get a ring? Part of this I lay at Noah's feet. Continue, please.
That's crazy. The wound is still fresh, and you're just let me stab it a couple more times. Let me just be a complete asshole.
I gotta lighten it up a little. I mean,
there's no lightening it
miserable.
Up. Brownie the Sad Elf t-shirt is on. That means vibes are low at the office today, man.
Well, the sad t-shirt kind of tells the story, but Noah, get us started this time around. There's a few different ways I want to go with this, but for starters, what's your reaction to the loss into the series against the Pacers?
Yeah, it's more of the same, man. They went back to what they have tried to do in the playoffs, even with a different head coach, and it makes no sense. The team looks soft. Jared Allen was horrible in the final stretch. He had 11 points and 6 rebounds in not one but 2 games. That was statistics for 2 games. He was a non-factor in game 4 and game 5. Donovan Mitchell looks like he's the only one that has the mentality that he wants to win a ring right now. I get it. The guys are young still. That's part of what's going on here. Donovan's at the point where he's starting to really hit his stride and really, really hit his prime. People say your prime's like 28 to 31 or whatever in terms of basic NBA math. So I get it. Donovan's the older one, so he's there. These young kids are still just getting to the point of understanding what they are in the NBA, i.e., Evan Mobley being the defensive player of the year. I could go on a tangent. I know we're going to talk about it for a second. All I know is we can have coach of the year. We can have 66 and 18. We can have defensive player of the year. None of it matters this season anymore because they got bounced in the second round by a team that was a 4 seed, a scrappy, a good, a hot 4 seed. But if you're really that team, you got to take care of business, man, and you just did not take care of business. I want to hear what you guys have to say, though.
No, it's a strong take. The only thing I would disagree with is I would throw Max Strus in the category of people who played really hard and did as best they could to get us to the next level. But why don't you weigh in? What are your thoughts?
Well, we shot 38.9% yesterday. We shot 25.7% from 3. Compare that to the 50% and 42.9% respectively that the Pacers shot. You can't win games that way. You say Max Strus did everything he could to get us there, and in some of those games, yeah, he was fired, but he went 0 for 6 last night. I don't understand this team in the playoffs. I don't understand the coaching in this round. I mean, there were so many decisions that just leave you scratching your head. For example, Donovan and Garland from 3, 0 for 6 and 4 for 13. 4 for 13 Donovan went from beyond the arc. You had a first half that was working. You were feeding the ball down low to your bigs, and we were winning the game. All of a sudden, we come out and we decide we're going to shoot threes for the rest of the night. That's baffling to me. I don't understand this offense. By the way, number 1 offense in the NBA this year and number 2 in history of the NBA. I don't understand this offense where we come down the floor and we have 4 guys standing around the arc, including Evan Mobley, and we play iso ball. What the hell is that? The offense should be running through Evan Mobley, especially when everyone's cold. I don't understand in particular last night. I know Ty Jerome's been cold, but he hit 2 of 3 3-pointers. Why didn't we feature him more, especially when we're down? He seemed to have a hot hand. Let's feed him. None of the decisions were making sense, literally none of them. Obviously, we can point to the 3-point shooting of Donovan. I think he was just cooked. I think he was tired. I'm sorry, not 3-point, but foul shooting is what I meant. I think he was just cooked. Those 3 big foul shots were big misses, definitely. But he's like a 70-some% shooter anyway. He's not a great shooter from the stripe, ironically enough. But going to back what Noah said, the reality is this team is soft. And there's no more point to emphasize because we ran into, first of all, I don't like how we have looked down on the Pacers. They're a very good team. They've now beat us in almost every single game this year. Regardless of injury, whatever, I think they're a good team that plays good team ball. They were killing us with the 3. I've always been a big Miles Turner fan. I think he's excellent for them. They had guys off the bench. I mean, they have it, but at the end of the day, we were too soft to compete. Jared Allen, I don't know. Ship him. I don't know what we do at this point.
We're going to talk a little bit about the – go ahead, Noah.
I was going to say the same thing you're saying, man. I know we're going to get into that in a second. So I'll keep this out of that. Something else I want to say real quick too, when it comes to this series is I don't think it's fair for any Cleveland fan to be upset with the Indiana Pacers for being cocky on their way out. Tyrese Halliburton waving by. I was in the arena for game 2. He went to the line.
Did you know he worked for the Cavs, John?
He went to the line. he went to the line and the arena erupts in overrated chants. You know what I would do if I got called out overrated and then proceeded to not beat you not once, not twice, but 3 times on your
Point
own
to the
floor?
scoreboard.
Right. Well, 3 times on your own floor during the
I didn't know
play.
you were going to say at home. I was just like, yeah, they got us.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would be waving. I would be cocky. All of those fans deserve that moment because of how we acted. Me, myself included. Erik, you shouted me out for saying the ring thing. I was on the show a couple weeks ago saying Tyrese Halliburton, Baby Birkin, glasses, whatever the hell I came up with from Greg Newsom. And yeah, it shot us in the foot. It taught us a lesson.
But he didn't beat us. I mean, he did last night, but Halliburton in the rest of the series,
I don't know, man.
It's a team effort,
was
man.
beating us, and Turner was the whole freaking team beat us.
The whole team beat us, but Halliburton was a huge piece of that. I think if you look at one player over the whole course of the series, he led the charge in a few of the other nights. He led the charge coming back when the Cavs were up a few times in the series. But Pascal Siakam played some good minutes too. They all played well. Listen, you guys hit most of what I was going to say with all the different pieces about the roster and who played well and not playing hard, lacking mental and physical toughness, the coach not having any idea what the hell to do with the rotation, the people in the game doing the old LeBron stanky leg offense where it's like 4 guys on the edges and 1 guy going ISO at the top of the key after you had some of the best ball movement that I've ever seen in the season. I guess just to add, because I agree with both of you on most of what you said, the other thing that it does for me is take like what seems like the longest regular season in all of North American sports and then make it even more meaningless. NBA, out of all sports, it feels like the regular season doesn't matter. It's a postseason league. Just get me to better than the play-in tournament and anything can happen if you got the talent. Cavs were rarely number 1 seeds when they made those championship runs. Just get me there, get me healthy. To Noah's point, coach of the year, defensive player of the year, one of the best, if not the best offense in NBA history. We got smoked in the second round for the second year in a row. So I don't give a shit if we go 80-2 next year. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Regular season means nothing, and neither does the first round of the playoffs. And it's kind of killed it because it makes it an all or nothing for all of basketball for like 2 weeks. Because no matter how good and dominant the Cavs look next season, if we don't make significant roster changes, the question's going to be, can they make it out of the second round of the playoffs, compete in the Eastern Conference Finals, and make a run at a championship? And it doesn't look like they have what they need as currently assembled. To progress the conversation, because it kind of naturally went there a few times, the question becomes for me, what do we need? Because when you look at this team, I think everybody goes, we can run it back because we got talent, we were banged up. But in the NBA and with most things in life, if you don't have a plan, you're winging it, you're guessing, and you're hoping. And the job of a GM isn't to wing it and guess it and hope. It's to look at the shortcomings of your team and address them. I know we're double aproned. I know it's hard to move assets. I know it's going to be really tough to get another piece in here and to move folks around. But the next piece of the conversation I have with you guys is, knowing that this went down the way it did, what do we need to do roster-wise to ensure that we can push forward a little bit farther next season?
Well, back up just a little, because I just want to play devil's advocate to what you're saying. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but in game 2, we lose a game that we should have won. You have Garland out that stretch of games, which I still don't understand. Obviously, Mobley sat as well. Do you not think if we're healthy that we're not advancing? If we're completely healthy?
No.
What
have you seen the last 3 years to make you think we would have?
Even if
100%.
we won game 2, I think the series is just different.
Yeah, if we'd have won all 4 games, we'd be in the next round, but we're not.
Yeah, and if your grandma had 2 wheels instead of legs, she'd be a motorbike. But
right.
I'm just saying, like, this team won a lot of games for a reason in the regular season. And I get what you're saying. You're saying the regular season doesn't matter. But we know that they can win games. Is it a matter of a missing piece? I mean, you tell me. No, I know you want to jump in.
Yeah, I I'm on John's side of this, where I just don't think the regular season has weight. We could have Donovan Mitchell win the MVP, Kenny Atkinson back-to-back Coach of the Year. We could win the in-season tournament. Evan Mobley could be Defensive Player of the Year, and they're all first-teamers on the starting lineup, at least the core four. And everybody's still going to be like, well, that's all fine and dandy. Are they going to make it out of the second round? Because they got bounced in 5 last year. They didn't make it to the second round the year before that. The lights were too bright. And then they went out there and looked like the lights were too bright again. To answer the question about what we need and what we can do, that is a very loaded question. And this is kind of where I want to jump in here. So in the 2023 CBA, collective bargaining agreement between players, owners, teams, whatever, there was a new curtain rule, or apron, a new apron rule put up. There's apron 1 and there's apron 2. Apron 1, you get some restrictions. Apron 2, you get a lot of restrictions. In apron 2, and this is all going to make sense in a minute, in apron 2, you can't use a mid-level exception, which is a contract to get decent role players, basically. You can't combine salaries in a trade to take on a bigger salary. So you can't trade player A and B that total $50,000 or $50 million to get a player that's being paid $50 million. And you also do not have the ability to trade a draft pick 7 years or more in the future. Also, you have the ability where your draft pick, if you stay in this apron, gets pushed to the back of the first round, no matter if you get the first pick overall or not. You will be pick 30. All of this to be said, with Evan Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year, with the contract structured on the books right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be in this apron. So all of this talk about, oh, do we add a Giannis? It was an argument we had in the group chat before, off camera, obviously. None of it matters because they can't afford to do shit for shit anyway. So, yeah, it sucks, but unless something drastic happens and they trade X, Y, and Z, to then trade for X, Y, and Z and work some crazy cap magic, we're running it back with this team next year, gentlemen.
Let me ask you this. Does your guys' opinion change? So last year we lost to the Celtics, who obviously go on and win an NBA championship, and they're a hell of a team. This year we lose to the Pacers. Does your idea of the Cavs need another piece, they're not good enough, change at all if the Pacers go on to win the NBA Finals?
For me, no, and I'll tell you why. It's not who they lost to, it's how they lost. If the Cavs had a hard-fought series, scored 125 points every game, the Pacers just outgunned us, so we got edged in a competitive game 7, 133 to 130. You tip your cap to your opponent, you think about how you can play better defense, and you move on. The Cavs at no point in this entire series ever once felt like they even came close to having control. And they were the better team record-wise. We know what they did regular season and the talent that they have, and they are hurling blind threes and missing them at a Herculean rate for 5 games. I mean, it wasn't well-oiled machine, pure Cavs basketball, and Halliburton just got hot, or you couldn't check this Miles Turner, or this, that, and the other. The Cavs were not even competitive at any point of this series and any point of the Boston series.
But the question is why? Like they were missing good looks though. It's not like the defense I mean, they're wide open 3-point looks that normally you would expect to be knocked down, and they're just doinking. So I don't get it, because it's not the team that we've seen all year.
It's the mentality. Kenny Atkinson came out and kind of said this in the presser after the game. He said, I don't think that this team has hit that second notch of mentality that you need for the playoffs yet. He said something close to that quote. Don't quote me saying that for him verbatim, but he said something to the effect that this team hasn't hit that mentality notch. It goes back to Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus, both players who have playoff experience, the same level, are at the point of their careers where they want a damn ring. Jared Allen's too happy to wave at the crowd during a playoff game, and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are still too young. That's not a knock on them. You can't knock someone for their personality or for their naivety.
Yeah, I disagree with with Mobley. I mean, he put up 24 points last night. He was a spark there. I don't agree with your take on Mobley. The rest of them, sure.
I'm saying in general, I think Mobley had a fine playoff outing. Something that there is to note, Mobley has never taken over 13 shots in a playoff game before.
Nope.
And he is supposed to be a unicorn and a scoring machine and growing into that role. We've seen him do it during the regular season. So, yes, I agree with you. Last night, he was great. In general, though, not taking more than 13 shots when you're supposed to really be at least the number 2 for this team at this point in time. When we started talking playoffs, well before playoffs started, I said, if the Cavs win a ring, Evan Mobley needs to be the Kawhi Leonard of the Spurs when Kawhi beat LeBron before LeBron came back.
No, I think you're exactly right. It doesn't happen
with 13 shots. Go ahead, John.
No, I think you're exactly right. You said, Eric, what would give you more faith? What do we need to do? If we can't get another name in here, can't move Jared Allen and or Darius Garland to get somebody like a superstar or somebody who's a little bit more physical, what would make me feel differently about next season? If Evan Mobley's the best player on the team, and I don't know if he's ready to take that step, and I don't know if Mitch is ready to give it to him, but I was also looking like, okay, when's the last time a team with a guard who was their best player made the finals out of the East? And I kept going and going and going and got to Allen Iverson. And I'm like, that was a long time ago. And they didn't win a final. So I said, okay, AI made it. We know he was the truth. If he was 6'6", he might be the GOAT of all time. Another combo for another day. But
that's a fun one, yeah.
Yeah, but then I said, okay, well, when's the last team to win a championship? And call me out if you think I'm wrong, but Isaiah Thomas for the Bad Boy Pistons was the last time a guard was the best player that won a championship. So if you ask me how we can do this as currently constructed in today's NBA, if Evan Mobley is scoring 28, 10, and 6 a night, maybe not the assists, he's a big guy, but if Evan Mobley is definitively our best player, the offense runs through him, and he is playing well going down the stretch, I feel a lot better about our chances than 2 slightly undersized guards that live and die by the 3, who have also consistently showed that they always die by the 3 when the lights are brightest and the playoffs get here.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, again, Donovan went 8 for 25. So even if he's going to be the guy, you can't go 8 for 25. I know he had 35 points, but you can't miss like that down the stretch. And
so this is what I'm not going to tolerate, and I cut you off on
finished,
purpose.
But go on.
I'm not taking Donovan slander here at all, because he did everything and then some to put the team on his back and be in a position. His usage
but when you have shit shot selection,
Eric,
that hurt us. You can't say it didn't.
No one was shooting anything, E.
Then we work the ball down low. It's not just on him, but that was terrible.
You get how usage as a stat works, right?
Yes.
It's when he has the ball in his hand, his team is making him use the ball and be a player and be effective more. His usage rate doubled in this series compared to what his regular season usage rate was. They were not doing anything other than, here, Donovan, bail us out of the problem like they've done in every other playoff run that they've had before and lost in 5. Or the lights were too bright.
Yep.
Or they got bounced in the play-in. It's the same story.
And it's systemic to the team, but that's exactly what I'm saying. We can't rely on him to bail us out.
That's what you do, though. I think that's exactly what you do. If you say this is our best player, they're supposed to be best when you need them. You can rely on your best player to bail you out. You just can't do nothing while you watch him. I agree with Noah 100%. Donovan Mitchell took a team where everybody was quote unquote. I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. If they were hurt, they were hurt. I'm sure they wanted to be out there, but we had 3 of our best 6 players hurt, and Mitchell put up 48 or 49 points and only made 1 3. This was not a Donovan Mitchell let us down series. This is a everybody else on the roster.
I'm not saying he let us down. I'm saying we can't run our offense through one man that goes 8 for 25. I wasn't putting it on Donovan. I'm putting it on Atkinson because, again, we had no fucking offense coming down the court. Mm-hmm. And that was what was frustrating. When the shot clock's expiring and he has to put up a shit shot, that wasn't me putting it on Donovan. that's putting it on. Why are 4 guys standing around the arc doing nothing? There's no off-ball movement. There's no off-ball screens. We're not doing shit to get people open. What is that kind of offense?
It isn't one, for lack of a better term. But what are you gonna do at this point? And I'm not defending Kenny Atkinson when I say what are you gonna do, but he was the only guy that was at least putting something. I mean, Darius Garland last night with the season on the line, 11 points. He was 4 for 16, missed 6 threes, had 5 turnovers. You can't put the ball in his hand. Strus, who has been at least something for us, went 0 for 9 in our last game. Dean Wade, 150-some minutes in the playoffs, 15 points total. It's all,
by the way,
them.
Keep in mind, Garland was also the worst at a -18 for us. I mean,
was he?
That's terrible.
It's frustrating because front to back, you saw a completely different team play in the regular season. And I know we're supposed to be talking about what this looks like moving forward, but what it looks like is the same team because they can't do anything. You can manipulate the cap a little bit. You can trade, say, Strus and like a Coro and then get under the curtain and then try to trade like Allen and Garland for a star, but you're really toying with it just to get back to the second curtain and having no bench at that point. I mean, the rule is the rule for a reason.
It is, and nobody wants these guys. Who in the entire NBA is sitting there thinking, you know what, we're pretty good, but Max Strus and Isaac Okoro are going to put us over the line. You know what I mean? At how much for Strus? Strus's contract is insane, by the way.
Same with Garland. Like Garland's on that max deal. Like no one's taking that contract.
Okoro is making $11 million right now. I get it. You've seen a lot out of this core that you think can go do things and be successful, but after watching basically the same story, the same dance, where we're going to use injuries or slight injuries as the excuse as to why they lost this series this year.
Well, and even if it is slight injury,
we have a couple viewer comments I want to just throw into the conversation real quick. We have Christine texting into the show. She says, I blame the 3 that were on the bench claiming injuries. The series was over the day that they chose to be on the bench, as well as they should have just kept to the paint play. Evan wasn't hurt, and peace out to Dean Wade. I just wanted to give her shout out real quick. Because
he did grab some boards, but yeah.
How much is a board worth when, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It was a
what diluted
do you guys rebound sample because it was a diluted rebound sample size because we missed so many damn shots. I could have gotten 7 rebounds on some of those nights. We shot 38%.
So it does make me question though, why like game 4 we crashed the board so well, and in game 5 we get out rebounded. Like, what's the difference? I don't know, man. This team folded.
Heart and toughness. That's why I feel this. They're soft. Yeah. It's the heart and and I hate. One of the things players hate most, and one of the things I hate doing most, is sitting here as a overweight 40-year-old talking with my buddies on a podcast, talking about who has heart. But they got bitch slapped and nobody responded. They beat us mentally, they beat us physically, they beat us emotionally, and nobody did anything about it. Donovan Mitchell's getting hammered and he's slamming the floor. Nobody's got his back. Nobody's coming to help him up. Nobody's in his face. They literally injured like 3 of our players in game 2 by just recklessly fouling us. Nobody stood up and took another hard foul on the other end. That's lack of toughness. So say what you will about me for saying it about somebody else in a position I don't know, but like, I know sports. I played hockey. I know what it's like to get hit in the mouth by a team and not respond. That's what it looked like on TV to me.
Yeah. And speaking of, we have Tristan Thompson on the bench. Why was he not brought in just to be an enforcer? I know I've said it before, but when you're getting hammered like that, send him in to get teed up and tossed out of the game. I know that's kind of old school thinking, but top to bottom, we were soft. The only guy out there was Mitch putting his heart on the line.
Is it old school thinking? Because, I mean, think of those Cavs teams. I don't know. I don't remember exactly my history, but we had a Kendrick Perkins that would come in and throw a punch and get taken out, and that was it. So
That's
and
what
that
I
wasn't
meant
too
by
long ago.
old. No, I meant old school, meaning old school when it was just harder. You go in and you were
Charles Oakley,
scrappier.
Charles Barkley, old school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think we lost the plot at a certain point, and
We did. And I want you guys' opinion on one more thing on this topic. I think part of the reason it hurts so bad and it pisses me off in retrospect, now that I've had, a whole 24 hours or so to sit on it, it feels to me like a missed opportunity. In any other year, you're like, yeah, it sucks we lost to the Pacers, but Boston looked really good and you can't beat OKC, or there's this or there's that. Boy, that window opened. And shout out to Jason Tatum. I absolutely hate the Celtics as a team, but I never root for guys, especially superstars, to get injuries, especially that severe. So hoping he gets a speedy recovery and he's back. I'd like to kick the Cavs to kick his ass on the court, but I don't want to see a guy like that get hurt. But with the Tatum down, the Knicks already up 3-1 on the Celtics, the Western Conference being kind of up in the air. This also feels like a year where there is no looming Golden State Warriors team or Utah Jazz with Stockton and Malone or Jordan and the Bulls. We had an opportunity to just be the best team and go and win a finals, and we couldn't get past the Pacers in the second round. I think that's part of the reason I'm so pissed, is because what might have been if they did win that game too, Eric, if they could rebound better, if they didn't shoot 36%.
To be fair, though, I do think that we didn't see it in the regular season, obviously, but I think the West has the teams to beat. I think right now where we stand in the playoffs, the West, I'm going to say the West, whatever team emerges is going to win the finals.
It's good. It's a good point, E, but the thing that I say about missed opportunity is even if the West had 15 great teams, you only got to play one of them once in the finals. So we don't have to go through the gauntlet that is the Western Conference playoffs. We could have taken care of our business and just played one team. So you're right.
I see what you're saying, the path.
But it's not like we'd have had to beat 11 teams from the West. We'd have to beat OKC, or we'd have to beat whoever comes up.
If the team I saw playing against the Pacers wouldn't beat the Knicks, though, in a 7-game series, because we'd have the same physicality issues.
Which is crazy because the Knicks in the regular season went 0-10 against top teams.
I know.
Which goes back to John's point of the regular season not mattering. But
it really doesn't. I mean, they were the coldest team coming in. And like I said, credit to the Pacers. They are hot at the right time, and they are a good basketball team. Well-coached basketball team, I might add. But yeah, nobody expected the Knickerbockers to be pushing to the Eastern Conference Finals, and yet here they are.
Here's the thing I kind of want to leave it with. If you want a silver lining, if you want something to make you feel at least half-heartedly warm inside, the average age of the core four is 25 and a half. And as I said earlier on today's show, the prime of most people's career is 28 to 31. So yeah, maybe this one stings. Maybe they don't have heart. Maybe this made them learn heart, and we can move forward that way. But I'm with you both, and I think I've showed my emotion and put my heart literally on my sleeve when I say this has been absolutely disappointing, man.
That disappointed me more, what you're saying, Noah, because you're saying they're not entering their prime for 4 more years. That core four is not surviving that long. Like, there's no chance of that.
No, we're not going to lose in the second round 3 more years in a row and keep them intact. I will say that's a good statistic by Noah. I think it's slightly skewed because I think Donovan Mitchell is older and Evan Mobley is really young. So even though it
28 and like 22, yeah.
Yeah, so I shouldn't say really old either, but it's stretched out a little bit. But wait, Donovan Mitchell's only 28?
That can't be right.
He's young. I'm looking it up right now. I got you guys.
Oh,
Donovan
it feels like he's been in the league forever.
Age 28 years old. His birthday is in September, so he will be 29 in the 25-26 season.
Wow.
Doesn't it feel like he's just been like he was at Utah for a while? That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Last note on the NBA, we beat the Cavs to death. We'll talk more about it as the offseason progresses and we see what they do with roster moves. But anything else from the NBA? My mom was over for dinner last night, and she goes, well, hon, I know it's tough, but who are you rooting for now? And my answer at the time was for an apocalypse and for nobody to win. I think I've come off of that. But
Yeah, who are
If
you?
I had to
for?
pick a team, I'd take OKC right now. Small market team that's fun. I don't want to see the Knicks win a championship at OKC's expense. But what do you guys think?
I would say don't count out the Nuggets yet. Still, I know they're down 3-2, but I think they've proven that playoff experience matters. They're not as deep as when they had their championship run, which obviously hurts them. But if I had to root for a team, it'd probably be the Timberwolves at this point. If I'm rooting for somebody to win, I don't know that they'd be able to, but they would get it for me for sure.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man, because the only correct answer is Ant-Man and Company, because they're fun to watch. Another smaller market team that, has a young rookie, young, fun. I don't want to see the Thunder win it. Screw the Thunder. I don't want to see SGA and what we could have been and our thought process of what this team is, go do it and take it out of the harder side of the conference. Nah, give me the Timberwolves. A little bit of an underdog. Give me the Timberwolves.
Who,
I
by
like
the
the
way,
underdog,
traded Cat after making the Western Conference Finals. Speaking of like what we need to do, they saw an opportunity and changed the team a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Screw OKC is wild. I don't know anybody who has it that hard out for the Thunder. But I get what you guys are saying. I root for the underdog. I like Ant-Man too. I think what we can all agree on is we kind of want the Western Conference champion to win.
Yeah.
Over
Unless
the
it's
Celtics or Knicks or Pacers.
Unless it's Golden State yeah, I guess it depends. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless it's Golden State. Fair point.
Who are you guys taking? Like, I don't know that I can bring myself to root for the Knicks, though. I think I'm still rooting for the Pacers over the Knicks, even after that series.
It's tough. I don't know. I'm split. Any other time I'd be rooting for the Pacers, but they just kicked our asses up and down the court for a week, and I have a hard time rooting for Halliburton.
I agree, but I don't know that Knicks teams and their fans.
I think I would like for the Knicks to play and win and then lose to the Western Conference champ as long as it's not Golden State, if I could draw it up.
No, I would rather it be the Pacers. I have no real ill will towards them at the end of the day. Like you said, they outsmarted, out everything the Cleveland Cavaliers, and
Outlast.
My hatred for the
Survivor.
Knicks and right. My hatred for the Knicks and my hatred for the fan base and the cockiness and everything that comes out of the armpit of America, New York City.
That would be St. Louis, but go on.
No, that's the crotch of America. The armpit is New York City, baby. No, I would rather the Pacers, but the Celtics did win tonight. The Celtics beat the Knicks without Jason Tatum, so there is still a series to be had there. So don't count out the men in green that I hate even more than the Knicks. So give me the Pacers either way.
I like it.
No,
I'm gonna Erik, jump in one more.
I was just gonna say I agree with what you're saying. I don't have much ill will towards the Pacers. Like that physical basketball, I never thought they went really overboard, where it was so egregious. That was just hard basketball, in my opinion. The people that were complaining, like we talked about already, we were too damn soft. So I don't have ill will there. And by the way, something we didn't touch on, I know there was the big blunder, but for the most part, I thought it was a very well refereed series. There
Which
was
one's
nothing.
that?
Our series, sorry.
No, that's good.
Like there's nothing that besides that one big call, which I get it, it's a miss, it's a blown call. But besides that, there were no real moments where I go, man, they got that so wrong. I mean, they even ejected what's his name with the Hunter thing. Like they got that right. They got everything right for the most part. So those that are blaming the refs, I think that's ridiculous. But sorry, go on, John.
No, I think you're right. The refs can't. The refs didn't run up a 50-point deficit in a game. The refs didn't shoot 2% from 3-point land. The refs didn't jam Darius Garland's toe or re-injure Garland's heel. There are a lot of things that went on, but I do think that at some times the Pacers are getting a few calls that we didn't get. We got hit harder. The missed fouls in game 1 and 2 stand out, but on the whole, no, I don't think the referee certainly didn't cost us this series.
Here's the thing, because you're absolutely right. They weren't calling some of the fouls, but when you see that, the way that you adjust is, okay, you play a bit harder defense and a bit rougher, because I think they were calling it evenly. We were just complaining that we weren't getting the calls we normally get. That's what's frustrating. That team should have responded in a way where Allen and Mobley were more physical on the defensive end. Not to take away from Mobley's defense, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the last word on that one. I'm going to move us to our second topic. I know we're right at the 1 hour point, so I think we keep this one a little bit more brief. But all of this talk that we just finished, the exit of the aforementioned Cavaliers, means that two things are true. Guardians are going to be the only team playing regular season games till September, but we know everybody's going to be watching the Browns. Minicamp is upon us. News is flying that Dylan Gabriel was pretty solid, but that Shedeur stole the show. Granted, it's defenseless reps and T-shirts and shorts, but this is a football town. We've been starving for a quarterback and bereft of talent since '99, almost on the entire whole. There were 55 other rookies there who participated, so even though it's early, wanted to get you guys' quick thoughts on minicamp. I'll start this time because I have an 8-second take on this. I'm glad the quarterbacks look good. They got to show me a lot more. The fact that we have a bunch of them feels great, and I hope somebody steps up and shows they can be a starter. Noah, you're our resident football guy. I think E kicked us off last time. What do you think?
Yeah, I got a couple nice little talking points out of rookie minicamp that I thought were interesting. The main one, of course, being as well as the resident football guy, but also the resident Shedeur Sanders super stan, shall we say. Shedeur lit up the show. Multiple different media members said that he was the best rookie out of all the rookies there. Not that reps in a helmet with shorts and a jersey and that kind of thing really matters. We've seen great reps before, but it's all good signs. I want to give a quick shout out to our second pick of the draft, Carson Sweshinger. He had a pick on Dylan Gabriel in 7-on-7. That was highlighted all over Brown's social media. They just did not show that it was Dylan Gabriel that threw the ball, which was funny to me. There's a couple talking points I want to get your guys' take on, though. Mason Graham puked during practice, and it turned into this whole media fury storm that he's going to bust and he's not conditioned and he doesn't have what it takes to be in the NFL. Do you put any type of stock in that whatsoever? I thought it was a very, very lazy take.
Yeah, no, the take came from a guy, by the way, who had been off Mason Graham the entire time. He's hated on Graham. He's said that it's a reach for the number 5 pick, which that may be true. But no, to read into anything at this point at minicamp, I think is dumb.
Yeah, he's got nerves. He's working hard. It's getting warm. No, you played sports, contact sport. Guys puke all the time. I wasn't a puker, but I played hockey, and it's just, skating drills. There's always one or two. Go get your face mask up and get a garbage can. Like,
yeah, conditioning during baseball. They had their faces in garbage cans. Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
You see it on every level at every level. You see it anywhere, on any type of possession, any type of anything. So I just think it's super lazy, and it's a super lame thing to point out. You've got 5 guys running D-line drills at rapid speed for 10 minutes. Of course, it's his first football practice in a year-ish, real football practice, not the Senior Bowl bullshit or whatever they have that they have going on. I don't know. I thought it was a lazy take. The other thing I wanted to touch on was that not 1, but 2 Ohio.
Did we lose him, E?
He is frozen. So I will say my take coming out of minicamp, you have the guys that are trying out. There were a lot of wide receivers on that list, which I thought was interesting to note, and kind of exciting in a way, because we're not completely done at wide receiver. So it should be interesting to see what we do there and who makes the cut. I kind of wish, I think Noah shared the sentiment with us before, but I kind of wish Hard Knocks was focused on the Browns this season.
It would be fun
I'm
with
back.
that quarterback room, especially.
Yeah.
I'm back. If you didn't know and didn't watch the episode on Monday, I'm moving. So Spectrum must be like, don't give this guy any of the gigs because my Wi-Fi has been spotty all of this show. Regardless, I wanted to shout out, we had 2 Ohio college receivers that had made the roster for minicamp for preseason, and that is Luke Floria and Cade McDonald. Cade is from Miami of Ohio, originally from Illinois. Luke is from Kent State, played football at Menor.
Luke
had Floria, Floria.
Gotcha. It's not Floria?
Maybe it's Floria. I don't know.
I just had to get you back for
that one too.
For the whatever his name was, Malaki.
Malachi.
Go watch the 4-hour cut of us going absolutely crazy during the NFL draft. That is an absolute hell of a watch if you are bored and have 4 hours of your time. Luke, though, had 44 receptions, 688 yards, and 7 touchdowns on 15 yards per reception. He was a bright spot. There was a lot of good talk and a lot of good clips of him coming out of camp. So I just wanted to shout out the Ohio guys as potential preseason names.
Wait, he averaged 15 yards per reception?
Yep.
That's interesting, especially playing at, you said Kent State?
Kent State, 688 yards, 7 touchdowns, 15 yards per reception.
The team didn't win a game? That's such a weird stat line.
Weird stat line for sure.
Huh, okay, cool.
What do you guys got from rookie minicamp? Anything?
You covered it. I was going to hit on the kids from Ohio and the interest of the fact that there's 55 guys who aren't named Shedeur Sanders who are also competing, and that there's a glut of wide receivers because I feel like that's a big area of need. So you guys, I don't want to say you stole my thunder. I said I had an 8-second take and stuck to it, and then you guys hit on the only other notes that I had.
The only thing that I'll say is that this is the time not to overreact. Especially Browns media tends to just try to pull at anything, and you'll see that more, especially now that the Cavs have exited and the Guardians are, there's not much going on there. Shout out Corey Kluber being back, by the way.
Yeah.
But now is not the time to overreact. They're not in pads. This is the beginning of a very long road. I think excitement should be there, definitely, as Browns fans, but to say, oh man, Shedeur threw a pick, he's going to be awful, whatever. Like those storylines, we just don't need right now.
There's 2 storylines that came out that don't specifically deal with rookies that I think could be good talking points for us. First, I'll give it to Tim Lyons for asking the question and reminding me, how do you guys feel about Cleveland turning their heads on Nick Chubb? Eric, I know we did a show on this, but just to touch on it again, because Andrew Berry came out in the media and officially basically closed the door on it, for lack of a better phrase. I want to know what you guys think, man.
Locker rooms in the NFL need leaders. We talked a lot about how Myles Garrett isn't a leader, and we wanted him to step up. Nick Chubb was, and everybody in that locker room gravitated towards him. He led by example. He led on the field. I think they'll miss him. It's not insurmountable, especially with the running backs that we drafted. But if you're asking me if all things are equal, would I rather have him on the roster or off? The answer is on. I think he did a lot for the franchise, and I'd love to see him black in the orange and brown.
I mean, my take hasn't changed. I don't see where he fits anymore. We signed 2 running backs. If he were like, I said this take on that show, John, but obviously you weren't there. If he were a third down specialist, yeah, let's sign him. But he's not. He's not that guy. I get it having leadership, but I think it does a disservice to Nick Chubb, who wants to get real playing time, which he could get somewhere else, to say, hey, we want you in the locker room. You're basically a mascot. He's not a mascot. He's still a player that, frankly, he could be capable of contributing to a team. It's just not the right fit for our team anymore. And I think it's in the best interest for both sides to just move on at this point.
And I'm somewhere in the middle of both of you, where I think that locker rooms need leaders. Chubb is the definition of that, but I also think it's not fair to Chubb's career to bring him here to be a mascot of the orange and brown instead of a tried and true player. You drafted 2 running backs, both that were high on your board. You told Shador that after you drafted Sampson that you were going to grab Sampson and then go grab him because they couldn't believe you were still on the board. That was on the phone call they had before they officially drafted him. You drafted those 2 guys to be Chubb and Hunt, potentially 2.0, and run that type of committee again. And that means no Chubb. So it sucks. I think it might be a bad decision in the long run for culture and all of the different things you said, but I ultimately don't know if he really fits here anymore after the draft.
By the way, unless you guys had more on Chubb.
Nope.
The schedule was released officially, and I can't remember what our bet was, Sean. Did I say we're going to win 6 games? Because I think at this point I might as well just buy you dumplings looking at the schedule.
I'll take them. I felt this moment coming because we knew what the schedule was before they announced it. We just didn't know the order of the games, and I was like, bro.
Yeah, but I think the order does matter a little bit here because we start with a gauntlet, which is the Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings. So right out of the gate, playoff teams all around the board. And then our next game is the Steelers, then Dolphins. Like, it doesn't get any easier either. That's a rough way to potentially start.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think the over-under was 6. I think 6 wins it for me still is what we settled on, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, either way.
You're 5 and below. I'm 6 and above. So if they win 6 or more, you owe me. If they win 5 or less, I owe you. We have it on tape. We could double.
Yeah, we'll yank it.
Yeah. For sure. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick that I just wanted to touch on in general, JOK out for the year before the season even starts. Any thoughts on that? I feel like we kind of saw some of this coming with the Schlesinger pick and with some of the signings, Jerome Baker and company coming back or getting signed or coming and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
we knew him ever playing again was going to be a big mountain to climb. This doesn't surprise me. I'm just hoping he gets healthy as he can, as quick as he can, but no extra thoughts, just thoughts and prayers to him. And it's a long road, man.
Yeah, that's my exact take is no thoughts on the football side of things, but to him personally, I mean, I hope he has a recovery. I mean, that's watching what the Steelers went through with
Shazier.
Shazier, thank you, Ryan Shazier, former Buckeye. I know this isn't as bad or gruesome, but these are things that affect a person's life potentially for the rest of their life, and that's a scary thought. They're putting their livelihoods on the line every week, and I think sometimes we overlook that fact because it is a dangerous sport, and we know that there are ramifications beyond. Most people are retired by like 30 in this sport. There's a lot of life left to live after that. So I really hope he gets better soon.
Yeah.
And I just want to echo that sentiment as well. I saw this coming. Schlesinger called him Coach Jeremiah or something like that, or Coach JOK in a presser early before this news broke. So I had a feeling, but I didn't want to put too much stock into it. I just hope he's better. I don't think it's necessarily he's even super hurt. I think it's more so no one wants to clear him after such a serious injury that could be re-aggravated in football, despite the fact that maybe JOK wants to play football still and still wants to go out there on the field. It's one of those things where a doctor isn't going to put their career on the line or in the same sense, put a guy's life on the line as well.
Someone's life, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Peyton Manning? I mean, I know he ended up. Obviously, it was time for him to retire, but didn't he have the neck issues as well that was leading into that final year, if I remember correctly?
Correct. I believe you're right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, when you tell a guy wrong hit and you could die, that's quite a scary thought.
for sure.
And that's actually honestly true of everyone in the NFL. Wrong hit and anybody could be gone, but it's way more severe to your point. I'm not trying to say you were wrong, but yeah, he had an issue where it was like your odds of that just went exponentially up. I can't in good faith give you a medical waiver to play. Guys, it's been a hell of a show. I think we covered a lot of ground. We commiserated. We talked Cavs. Before we get out of here for the night, wanted to hear what you guys' hot takes were. I kind of go back and forth and let you guys start. So maybe I'll kick us off just for hot takes. My hot take is the NBA season is over. It sucks, but get over it. We will. That's what we do as Clevelanders and Cleveland fans. It's not on the football season. We have a baseball team that has been worthy of your attention for over a decade now. They play hard. They play the right way. They don't always have the biggest names or the most money or the best talent. But they always get scrappy. They always find a way to win, and they play hard and represent Cleveland well. I know there's a lot of games. I know some people think it's a slow pace of play, but you don't have to jump right into Browns preseason. Go support the Guardians. Cheer them on. I don't know for a fact that they'll win the division. I do feel pretty strongly they'll make the playoffs. It's a good use of your summer, and spend some time at the ballpark too. They got a lot of upgrades. I think you'll enjoy them. So support the Guards even if you don't watch every game. They don't suck like the Browns all the time, and they don't suck like the Cavs in the playoffs. They play their asses off pretty much every night, and it's pretty fun to watch.
I know this is final hot takes, but I'm curious what you guys think, and maybe it's just me. I'm a big baseball fan. I mean, I watch a lot of baseball. I go see it. I'm struggling this year to get into it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because the Cavs made such a push and there's been so much news around Browns, but I'm struggling to care about baseball this year for the first time in a long time, and I don't know why.
I think it's the Cavs, if I'm being honest. I felt the same way. I watched part of almost every game from opening day until the NBA playoffs started, and I haven't watched a minute of it because I've been obsessed with the NBA playoffs, and now I'll go back to baseball. So it was a distraction. If you're asking for a thought, that's probably what it is, but you'll come around. It'll be July.
I need
baseball.
I think I need a week or two palate cleanser, and then I'll be back in. But
I think part of it too is the thought process of teams like the Angels being around, and even the Yankees to a lesser extent. We could have a hell of a season. And
did you mean Dodgers instead of Angels?
Did I say Angels? Yeah, I totally. Can you tell we've been going for an hour now? No, the Dodgers and the Yankees to a lesser extent.
Mets.
Just knowing that you're going to hit a brick wall, most likely in the postseason. I mean, there's always the Cinderella story, and I'll probably buy into it when the Guardians make the playoffs, if the Guardians make the playoffs. But I think that's part of it for sure.
You saying Cinderella story, I know exactly why I'm not into it. Every single year to start the baseball season, I start off by watching Moneyball. It's one of my favorite movies. It gets me going. Sometimes I'll parlay that into Ken Burns' documentary on baseball afterward, and I didn't do any of that this year. So I think on my to-do list this weekend, I need to add that movie back in the roster.
That's fair.
It's kind of like watching Trading Places and Christmas Vacation before Christmas.
Exactly.
You're like, oh shit, I didn't do this right. No,
if
Grinch
you don't watch
Christmas
those movies, Christmas doesn't feel the same. Yeah. I'll give you my hot take next, just because we were talking Guardians. I mentioned it, but they signed Kluber as a coach, and I think that's a really good move. He's the only two-time Cy Young winner for the team, from a team that had the actual Cy Young, who's hanging on the wall behind me. Obviously, he couldn't win the award as it's named after him. It's a really good move. He was dominant in Cleveland for a very long time, including in the playoffs, including in that World Series run where he had like a 1.86 ERA. Don't quote me on that, but it was close to that in that entire run. That's incredible, and I think he can lend a lot of experience to this pitching staff that could use it. And just to note how it can go the other way, for the first time in years, we're seeing former players for the Commanders show back up because they're under new ownership. Something you would never see under old ownership. Now players are coming back, and I think that means something. And it got me thinking about the Browns. I hope that's never the case where it's such a bitter embattled owner that players don't want to return. I don't think we'll get there, but you never know with our ownership.
That's fair. My hot take is also, well, I guess it's NFL related. And my hot take is very simple. Today is schedule release day. I'm so happy we didn't add to our gambit of things to talk about the schedule release, because I think it is so stupid that we have this big holiday for schedule release. And this is coming from, as John calls me, the resident football guy. I don't care. Just drop it. I don't need stupid videos and a 3-hour ESPN special.
3 hours. That's wild. That's the draft.
I don't care. These teams have known forever. The players know who they're playing week 1 for a long time. It's just not public knowledge. It's only for us. It's not like they're sitting there like, who do we have week 1? We can't wait. And they're going to the different locker rooms like it is like college football playoff selection show day or something. It's stupid. It's a cash grab, and I have no want or care. I'll get the notification on my phone like I did today of who we're playing. Oh, cool. Bengals week 1. Move on. Next.
Yeah. Who are we going to lose to in week 1?
By the way, did you see the awful social media post by the Browns?
No.
With the schedule release, they put the Bengals, and then like it was the Bengals logo, and then next to it was like a little kitty cat in like a tiger costume. And then they put the Steelers, and then next to that was a dumpster on fire. Just a poor social media use for a team that's been awful. Like, maybe don't draw comparisons.
Right.
That's a flex. And to reiterate Noah's point, the thing that frustrates me most about the stupid schedule release is that everybody who knows how the NFL schedule works knows who we're going to play this year, next year, the year after. They rotate divisions in the AFC and NFC, and then the only ambiguity is like where you come in your division is who you play in the AFC and a few others. But guys, I could do another hour if we needed to, but we're at about $1:20. I'm going to get us out. Thank you to everybody for joining us at the office. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of our show, and check us out on all the socials at the office CLE. Thank you to Fans for Sports, D&D Meadery. Have a great day or night. The sun will rise tomorrow. It's not all about the Cavs. And thanks to you for wherever you're watching. Till next time, stay up. Peace.